Absolutely. I mean, this is the top issue in Europe, arguably, the mass migration that's changed the face of so many places across the continent. And if the people can't have a say on whether they support this mass migration, whether they want to see more of it, then really, what is the point of the democratic process? Right now, what is the AfD's support in Germany? They certainly did well at the recent elections. Are they amongst the most popular parties?
Well, according to the most recent polls we have, they are the most popular party. I mean, they currently come in the polls at around 26-27%, about 3 percentage points ahead of the Conservative Party. I mean, maybe we have time to talk a little bit about Friedrich Merz, the future chancellor's massive disaster yesterday in German parliament, where he could not secure a majority to become chancellor in the first round of voting, something that has never happened in the history of Germany since 1945. And what we can see here, and that's a trend not just in Germany, we see it in France, we saw it in Romania, we see it in the UK, we saw it with Donald Trump before his election in November of 2024. There is an attempt to weaponize the legal system, the judicial system, anything at the disposal of the status quo elites to prevent alternatives to come to power by legal means. And this is a real problem, because my big issue is always one, which is that if you prevent people to vote in alternatives, it's kind of funny that the German name is the Alternative for Germany, but it doesn't matter if it's Trump, Le Pen, Farage, you name it. Because at some point, people will say, if the system does not allow me to effect change within the system, then we need a new system. So again, as I said before, those who pretend to protect democracy have become its biggest threats, because people are increasingly frustrated, and there is nothing more dangerous to democracy than if a growing number of people feels that their vote makes no difference. And this is the direction in which we are going.
Well, you mentioned some examples there from North America to Romania, France and Germany. What is next for Germany? What is their government going to look like? And what are the chances that the most popular party is going to be labelled an extremist organisation? I guess the next step is they may be excluded from the democratic process. They may not be allowed to run in elections. And we've seen candidates be excluded in countries like Romania.
Well, Lenin once said that if the Germans want to storm a train station, they first buy a ticket. And what he wants to say, well, what he meant by this is that the Germans are not per se revolutionary people, right? And this has been a strength of them. Usually they play by the rules. But if they get angry and if they explode, as we know historically, right, it can get very, very nasty. And we sometimes underestimate how quickly societies can be pushed to the brink. I'm sure that maybe some of your viewers and listeners are familiar with David Betts. He's a British strategist at King's College, and he makes this claim that many European societies are probably much closer to the brink of civil unrest and civil war than we realize. And I think this is true. For now, people are still holding back because a crucial number still believes that their vote does in fact make a difference, that the democratic process is in fact working. But Germany is a great example. If you try to outlaw the most popular party, you're basically disenfranchising almost 1/3 of the people or 1/3 of the voters. That cannot just blow over. There's this odd idea within the traditional parties in Germany. They sincerely believe, and they say this in interviews, that if we ban the AfD, those voters are just gonna come back to us. But they left you because they no longer trust you for good reasons, like Mr. Merz. If you make promises that you forget 20 minutes after the last polling station has closed, but people will not just come back to you. First, they will retreat from the political process, then they will get angry, and if they don't have an alternative at the voting booth, they will try to, let's say, voice their dissatisfaction in other ways. And yes, of course, this could get violent at some point.
Ralph Scholhammer, appreciate your insights. Thanks so much for your time tonight. That's it from me. Up next is Newsnight. I'll see you at 11 tomorrow night.